Welcome back to Footballology. So, with the NFL draft practically being right around the corner, and with this year's draft looking like it's going to have a lot or a plethora of quarterback talent in it, I kind of wanted to come to you guys and talk about the whole idea of a quarterback sitting in his first year versus a quarterback starting in his first year. Now, we've seen both options work to success, but we've also seen both options fail. So, in this two-part video, I want to talk about in this first video, I want to talk about the quarterback sitting and the success that it has, but also some of the cons of it. I think that when you have a quarterback that's a young guy that's coming into the league, it makes the most sense for him to sit, and especially if you feel comfortable in your coaching staff, a guy that's going to sit there and really tutor and mentor this quarterback and train him and get him up to speed of the NFL to have that success that we all want from our quarterback position. We want, Peyton Manning success from our quarterback position. So a lot of times people feel like sitting your quarterback can be very successful. One of the most notable quarterbacks that sat over the course of the NFL career, or over the course of his career, was Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got drafted by the Green Bay Packers in the first round, and he sat behind Brett Favre for I think 3 to 4 years. Now, Mike McCarthy was the head coach through this whole entire process, and so Aaron Rodgers got a chance to really understand and know his system. He came out his first year starting, he struggled a little bit, didn't look quite there just yet, but then his second year had great success. And we even see him go through the same thing currently with Matt LaFleur. His first year under Matt LaFleur, struggled a little bit. People thought he maybe lost his stuff, and he just wasn't A-Rod anymore. But then he comes out this year and blows up the league and possibly be league MVP. I think ideally he's going to be league MVP. But realistically, Aaron Rodgers had a chance to sit behind Brett Favre and really understand the NFL game. He had true success. He was a guy that took his time and was patient, learned the game, and everything that came with it, the tips and tricks that, really gave him a chance to succeed once he stepped on the football field to be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Now, this is one of the biggest or most successful stories because when he sat behind the quarterback, it was, for one, it was a long time, but when he sat behind the quarterback and came in and he starts to flourish. He won multiple league MVPs, he won a Super Bowl, and he really showed himself and his talent, and he just blew up. He flourished. I don't know if it was because he sat or if he, just was always that good, but right now you have to contribute it to him sitting behind Brett Favre and really understanding the game from a mental aspect before he got on the field to really use his physical gifts. So another quarterback was Kurt Warner. Now, when I was doing my research for this video, I was kind of intrigued by the idea of like some of the quarterbacks. It took me a while. I knew some, but I didn't know a lot. And Kurt Warner kind of popped up into my head, and I was like, Kurt technically never started his rookie year. He was in the league several times and everything, but he actually had a year where he didn't start for the Rams, and he was still under Dick Vermeil. So he got a chance to learn the system, understand everything that was asked of him within the system, and then when he hits the field, he flourished. He blew up. They had one of the greatest offensive NFL history, and he went on to win a Super Bowl and league MVP. Kurt Warner was a guy that got a chance to once again learn the game from a mental standpoint, and a guy that once he hit the field understood what was asked of him from within the system. Didn't do too much, didn't do too much craziness or anything, but he did the right things in the system and the way it was taught to him while he was sitting on the bench. Once again, another successful sit story where the quarterback just sat down and had a chance to really understand and learn the game. From the coaching staff and from the starting quarterback at the time. So last on my most successful sit stories is probably the most current superstar to be born within the league. Now, granted, like I tell you guys all the time, yes, I'm a Chiefs fan, but I'm not a biased Chiefs fan. I tell how it is. But we have to respect what was done here in Kansas City. Alex Smith was the starting quarterback for that year that Pat Mahomes got drafted, and once Patrick Mahomes was there, he was this wildfire. And the best way I can explain it, I think this was that one story that you could break down and actually see it be so impactful to the player himself. But Pat Mahomes came into the league as a wildfire, if you will. Everybody thought he was crazy for some of the throws he made, the way he threw off platform, and everything else that he did. A lot of people expect him to throw a lot of interceptions, myself included. And we thought that he was just going to be a wildfire slash gunslinger, Brett Favre type, a butt ton of interceptions, but a butt ton of great plays and touchdowns. But what he ended up doing is sitting behind Alex Smith, and Alex Smith not so much doused the fire that was Patrick Mahomes, but more or less showed him how to contain it and control it and use it to itself. Like it was like Patrick Mahomes had this great God-given ability and power, but he didn't understand how to control it just yet. And Alex Smith was there to really show him how to hone in on his power, still be great within your talents, and sometimes be great without outside of your talent and do out of this world things. but yet still have fun and be smart and cerebral with the game too. And I think that this was the one time when a quarterback has sat behind another quarterback that really just made the most sense. It was like yin and yang coming together, and it was like the perfect marriage. Alex Smith was the perfect quarterback to mentor a guy like Patrick Mahomes, to show him that yes, you can have that gunslinger mentality, but you can have that manager or that cerebral side of your game as well. And that's what's really going to transcend you to the greatness or the elite status. And it's been successful. League MVP, and he also won a Super Bowl. So it's like these three quarterbacks sitting behind someone and sitting in the same system, having a chance to really learn the game from a mental standpoint before they go on the field and show their physical talent, really showed to be truly successful and just so beneficial to these guys to really take their game to the next level. And I think that this is where a lot of experts or coaches get to the point where, like we've seen this year when the Chargers drafted Justin Herbert, the idea was to sit Justin Herbert, really get him, developed to the point where he actually understood the game. A lot of coaches didn't feel like he was, or the Chargers coaching staff didn't feel like that Herbert was ready to actually touch the field just yet. Unfortunately, something happened, and he had to. He was called up, but the idea was to get Herbert, ease him into the game, and hopefully eventually next year have him just blow up and flourish like he did this year. So I mean, it just happened a little bit faster, but you can see definitely how sitting a quarterback can have true success on the, or have a true impact on the career of a certain quarterback or some quarterbacks. So for every successful story of a quarterback sitting and actually having success once he hits the field, there's another quarterback who got a chance to sit but then have that great success once he touched the field. And Jake Lochner is my first example of that. Jake Locker had a chance to learn Mike Munchak's, I think it was Mike Munchak's system, and sit behind Matt Hasselbeck for his whole rookie campaign. Now he did come in and start a couple of games, or he didn't start. He came in and played a couple of games, but he never started a game. But he did come in and play a couple of games. But for the most part, he had a chance to really understand and learn the system. Once it was his time to step up, he never really took well to the NFL. Now I don't know if the game just sped up for him. I don't know if he was just not a good study or whatever the case may be, but for some reason, when it came to Jake Locker, he just never panned out. He never took well to the NFL, and the NFL just pretty much shoot him up and spit him out, unfortunately. And I really feel like that's, a lack of a better term, but that's basically what it came down to when it came to Jake Locker. He just never really developed into the quarterback that they expected him to be when they took him in the first round. It's kind of hard to explain because me personally, I feel like sitting a quarterback makes the most sense, and in this case, it just didn't make that much. It just didn't make sense at all. Like, why wouldn't you learn something? I know Matt Hasselbeck wasn't the most elite quarterback, but he did things that were actually decent within his career that you feel like he would have had some way to actually teach Jake some stuff to really get himself developed or get himself to that point where he could have been a great quarterback. It blew my mind. Like, it just didn't make any sense. So my next unsuccessful story was J.P. Losman for the Buffalo Bills. They drafted him in the first round, and I think in 2004. He always got set behind Drew Bledsoe, who was considered one of the better quarterbacks at the time. I think he got replaced by Tom Brady in New England, but it's Tom Brady at this point. Everybody knew at 2004, everybody knew what Tom Brady was about. And so Drew Bledsoe got replaced, went to Buffalo. J.P. Losman had a chance to sit behind him and learn. Once again, I just don't understand what happened here. I don't know what didn't click for him. I don't know if injuries caught up to him. There were so many. I guess there's so many layers to the onion, if you will, of guys like him that you just never understand. Like, why didn't it click from you when you had a chance to sit behind somebody like Drew Bledsoe and really learn the game from a mental standpoint before you got to touch the field? I think from a talent standpoint, JP had it all. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't have won in the first round. But it's just one of those things like, what was the disconnect? And can this either be corrected, or is it just the player at this point? So last on my unsuccessful list story is Brock Osweiler. Now this one I got to see really firsthand. At this point I was really deep into football itself and really understood football and really start to grasp everything as far as the NFL draft, scouting, and the way free agency worked, the way teams are built, and everything else in between. So this one really definitely sat with me. This one was probably one reasons why I wanted to make this video, was guys like Brock Osweiler. Now, when you look at Brock Osweiler, he had the perfect scenario, the perfect situation. First of all, you had John Elway as one of your front office personnel, a guy that clearly won multiple Super Bowls and had multiple records, a guy that was probably one of the more elite passers within the NFL itself. And then you got a chance to sit behind, in my personal opinion, one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, Peyton Manning. So you had two of the best quarterback minds on a consistent basis talking to you, yet you can develop yourself from a mental or cerebral standpoint, and especially because of Peyton Manning alone. Brock Osweiler had every trait that you were looking for in a quarterback. He was 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", big arm. I mean, he had the package. I mean, obviously the Denver Broncos felt that strongly about him by taking him in the first round, but he never panned out. He never turned into that guy that was actually going to develop into something great. And not only did he fail in Denver, but he failed with several other teams. Got picked up by Houston with a big contract, and then Houston purposely dumped his money just so they can have cap space. So it's like it never made sense why it never clicked for Brock Osweiler. I know he showed flashes and glimpses here and there, but it was like you had a chance to sit behind Peyton Manning. You had a chance to really learn the game from one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and yet here you are still struggling. Why is that? Where is that disconnect at? And that's something that I personally have been struggling with when I've been making this video. Because of guys like Brock Osweiler, JP Lossman, Jake Locker, it's like you got a chance to sit behind quarterbacks in the same system. The system never changed, and not too much really changed around you. The team was pretty much built for you to be successful, but yet you came in or you stepped in and you struggled at the quarterback position. And I think a lot of times players just don't care, especially if you get drafted in the first round. It's this sense of like, I made it, so I don't have to try anymore. But it's like, and then I mean, think about that rookie year. If you got told that you're going to draft in the first round, especially when these guys got drafted, when you got drafted in the first round, Osweiler, take that back, not Osweiler. But when you get drafted in the first round, you get this big contract, you're quarterbacking, your money's there, and you're ready to go, and you're going to spend and splurge and do whatever you want in between. You're not in school anymore. You got no one telling you what to do for the most part outside of your team. You get a whole off season to yourself. And so it's like, did they ever take time to sit back and really learn the game from a cerebral standpoint? Did they ever care about the game itself? Did they just lost feeling for the game? Did they had a goal that was set that I'm going to make it to the NFL, and they made it to the NFL, and that was good enough for them? What I don't know what it is, but there's like a hard disconnect there that these guys never had that success, because you would feel like, and like I said, me personally, I feel like this is the best way to go when developing a quarterback is to sit him for that first year, have him just sit there and learn as much as he possibly can, but understand that keeping the coaching staff intact is very important to this whole entire plan. And if the coaching staff is still intact, and the quarterback is still there, and you got this veteran quarterback he's had success at that level. Why there's just it is my mind. I can't wrap my mind around it. I don't know. Maybe you guys know better than I do. Just let me know what you think in the comment section about this. And if there's a quarterback that I missed, either successful story or a unsuccessful story, definitely let me know in the comment section below, because I know there's more unsuccessful stories, and I know there's more successful stories out there. And these are just three that I felt like stood out the most to me, especially the Osweiler, and I think Aaron Rodgers was probably the biggest two of both really unsuccessful and successful. But if there's someone that I missed and you guys feel like that guy should have had success, or that guy had great success after sitting, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a footballologist yet, I don't know what you're waiting on. Go and subscribe to the YouTube channel today, become a footballologist, and stay safe, football fans.